AI answers the question you give it. It has no interest in whether you asked the right one. Give it data. It returns an analysis fast. That used to feel like an edge. I am not sure anymore. Here is the problem. A precise wrong question produces a confident wrong answer. The tool works fine. The question fails. I read Warren Berger's The Book of Beautiful Questions to fix this. Not to use AI better. To find the questions I was not asking at all. Last year, someone stole from one of our warehouses. 45 guards. Around the clock. At that scale, nothing stays simple. We ran our standard process. What happened? Why? Who is responsible? How do we stop it again? 4 questions. We had used them for years. This time, they failed. We finished the investigation. Made the changes. 3 weeks later, another incident. Different problem. Same failure underneath. When we finally stopped and looked hard at the site, we found something uncomfortable. Security had slowly started prioritizing client operations over actual security. Guards worked around disruptions instead of enforcing the boundary. Nobody decided this. It became the default. For months, across 2 incidents, we never asked one question. What is our actual agenda here? Not what broke. Not who is to blame. What are we fundamentally trying to do? Berger calls this the jugular question. Before you act on a belief, ask what it is standing on. I built my operational instincts on small deployments. 10, 15 guards. Those instincts became the invisible operating system for a 50-city operation. Nobody stopped to ask if they still applied. The beliefs that built this business will not take it further. The dangerous ones are the quiet ones. They never visibly fail until they suddenly do. A soldier defends the position. A scout finds out what is actually there. I run in soldier mode almost permanently. When a client calls at 11 p.m., you solve it in 30 minutes. No scouting. But I noticed a pattern. We fix the fire. We move on. We never go back. The scout does not work during the crisis. The scout works the Friday after. 1 hour. 1 question. What would a scout find here that the soldier missed? This question is not about distrust. It is about who handed you the frame. The theft complaint came through the client. Their version shaped how we framed everything from the first hour. Service businesses have a structural problem. The client defines the failure. You investigate it, but their definition carries their agenda. Their agenda is not yours. Before you accept any account, find the source. Treat every version as a starting point. Never treat it as a conclusion. Critical thinking is supposed to be neutral. You gather evidence and follow it. In practice, I often use it to build a case for a conclusion I already quietly reached. Our warehouse investigation had a clear agenda. Find the staff failure. Fix it. Show the client accountability fast. That agenda blocked the real question. Before you start any investigation, write down the conclusion you suspect you are heading toward. Then ask, am I testing this or confirming it? After the theft, we asked a binary question. Did my staff fail? Yes or no? The answer was yes. We documented it, corrected it, moved on. The process worked exactly as we designed it, except we answered the wrong question. The real question was whether our entire model was configured correctly for a 45-person multi-vendor site. That has no yes or no answer. Pause before forcing a binary. Name the fuller question. Write it down. Return to it when the fire is out. An outsider has one advantage no experience inside a business can replicate. They carry none of your assumptions. An outsider would have spotted our warehouse drift in the first site visit. From inside it was invisible. We were the ones who had drifted. I use AI as my outsider. No history with my business. No stake in the outcome. But AI only answers the question I give it. It will not question my premise. That part is still my job. We celebrate founders who bet everything. Then we go back to our own businesses and make the cautious call. I am not criticizing that. I have 45 guards on payroll. Caution is proportionate. But Berger is not asking you to ignore the risk. He is asking you to separate the vision from the constraint. Because if you do not, the constraint quietly becomes the vision. Reid Hoffman calls this ABZ. A is today. Z is where you ultimately want to end up. Define Z without letting today's limits edit it. There is a version of me running a 200-city operation. He has systems I have not built yet. He is either grateful for the decisions I am making now, or quietly furious about them. I know he would resent the manual processes, the approvals that live in someone's head, a business improvising its way through scale. That realization is why I built O9X custom ERP for my business. It started as a compliance fix. It is still reactive. The next step is to build from Z backwards, not from today's problem, but from what I envision as my future. Most decisions present themselves as problems to solve. Something broke. Fix it fast. Berger encourages the reader to ask a different question. Not what gets you back to stable. Which option moves you forward? In the warehouse case, the tactical fix was straightforward. Discipline staff. Restore client confidence. The evolutionary fix was harder. Draw a hard boundary between security and operations. Make the client own their gaps in writing. Reactive fix and evolutionary fix often look identical. The difference is what you were solving for. When I read something important, it lands. 2 weeks later, I mostly forget about it. Making notes in Notion or Obsidian helped, but only partially. A note is a record. It did not force me to think. Publishing did. Writing for a reader, even a hypothetical one, demands me to close every gap. Berger's question works the same way. If I cannot explain a decision clearly later, the thinking behind it was not clear in the first place. Fix the thinking, not the explanation. Drew Houston used this image. A dog chases a tennis ball without deciding to. It just goes. Berger uses it to find your passion. I use it to find the real business underneath the business. Theodore Levitt wrote that railroad companies thought they ran railroads. They ran transportation. That one misread caused them to miss the car and the plane. I have been asking my version for 5 years. I run a security company. But security is just the product. The problem I cannot leave alone is different. That is the tennis ball. When the theft happened, I investigated everything. Staff, client, process. I never examined the incentive structure. Here is what it actually looked like. I trained my guards to do their job well without raising any complaints from the operations team. A guard who disrupts operations draws a complaint. The incentive was clear, even though nobody stated it. My staff wanted a smooth site. A complaint threatened their standing with me, so they absorbed the pressure instead of pushing back. My own incentive was contract renewal. The renewal was coming, so I ran an operation that prioritized client comfort, avoiding disrupting operations workflow even if some can lead to security issues at a later stage. Nobody acted in bad faith. Every person followed their incentive. The system produced a theft because every incentive pointed away from the behavior that would have prevented it. Charlie Munger called this incentive-caused bias. The incentive does not just change your behavior. It rewrites your thinking. Ask what incentive each person is actually responding to. Start with yourself. Daniel Kahneman mapped how human thinking fails. He won a Nobel Prize for it. Then he admitted his knowledge did not protect him from his own biases. If Kahneman cannot escape his, I cannot escape mine. The biases are not going away. My instincts are not going away. What changes is the questions I bring to them. Business is an infinite game. You do not win. You stay in the game long enough for things to compound. These 12 questions are how I try to do that.